In the arid crucible of the 12th century Middle East, where faith and empire clashed, one name rose to define an era: Saladin. This is the story of the man who unified Islam and reclaimed the Holy City. The backdrop is a time of relentless conflict, known as the Age of the Crusades. Jerusalem, the heart of three monotheistic faiths, was held by the Latin Christian kingdoms, a constant thorn in the side of the Islamic world. The air crackled with tension, empires crumbled, and the call to jihad echoed across the deserts and ancient cities of the Levant. Out of this chaos, a leader was forged. He was Salahuddin Yusuf ibn Ayub Salahuddin, a figure whose legacy transcends the battlefield, known as much for his chivalry and intellect as for his military genius. Our focus: how did this Kurdish general, starting from obscurity, manage to achieve what others failed to do? How did he weld disparate Islamic factions into a single, unstoppable force? The story begins far from the clamor of the great cities, tracing Saladin's path from a modest upbringing to the pinnacle of political and military power. Born in Tikrit, modern-day Iraq, in 1137, Saladin was of Kurdish descent. His family served the Zengid dynasty, placing him at the very heart of the resistance against the Crusader state. Saladin's education was military and political, serving as a trusted lieutenant to his influential uncle Shirkuh. Shirkuh was the formidable general of Nur ad-Din Zengid, the ruler of Syria. The pivotal moment came with the campaign for Egypt. Following his uncle's death in 1169, Saladin inherited the position of vizier to the weak Fatimid caliph in Cairo, effectively making him the master of Egypt. Control of Egypt gave Saladin immense resources. The next challenge was uniting the fractured Islamic principalities of the Near East under his new Ayyubid dynasty. After Nur ad-Din's death in 1174, Saladin moved swiftly. He leveraged his legitimacy in Egypt to seize control of Damascus and much of Syria, maneuvering against Nur ad-Din's successors. This political consolidation was vital. By unifying the resources and armies of Egypt, Syria, and Mesopotamia, Saladin was finally able to establish a unified front, ready to challenge the Crusader states head-on. The stage was set for the inevitable confrontation. The Frankish kingdoms, complacent and divided, were about to face the full might of a unified Islamic army. The tipping point was Reynaud of Chatillon, a ruthless Crusader lord whose continuous attacks on Muslim caravans and pilgrims, particularly those heading to Mecca, broke the truce and demanded retaliation. In July 1187, at the Horns of Hattin, Saladin delivered a decisive blow. By cutting off the Crusader army's water supply and luring them into a devastating trap, his strategy proved brilliant and fatal for the Frankish forces. The victory was absolute. The bulk of the Crusader army was destroyed, and key leaders, including the King of Jerusalem, Guy of Lusignan, were captured. The capture of the True Cross was a major symbolic and religious triumph. With the Crusader field army obliterated, the path to Jerusalem was open. For the Islamic world, the reclamation of Al-Quds was the ultimate spiritual and political objective. In September 1187, Saladin besieged Jerusalem. Recognizing the strategic importance and spiritual sensitivity of the city, Saladin sought negotiation rather than outright slaughter. In stark contrast to the brutal massacre by the Crusaders in 1099, Saladin offered remarkably lenient terms: ransoms for the Christian inhabitants, ensuring their safe passage out of the city, embodying his famous chivalry. On October 2, 1187, Saladin formally entered Jerusalem. The cross was removed from the Dome of the Rock, and the city was once again under Muslim rule, a moment of profound significance that resonated across the globe. The fall of Jerusalem triggered the powerful response of the Third Crusade, bringing Europe's greatest monarchs, including the legendary Richard the Lionheart, to the Levant. Richard and Saladin engaged in epic battles, developing a mutual respect despite their enmity. This rivalry ended with the Treaty of Jaffa in 1192, allowing Christian pilgrims access to Jerusalem and establishing a fragile peace.